Hi, I'm Chris Plumb, head coach and CEO of the Carmel Swim Club. This is the Off the Deck podcast. Off the Deck champions Carmel Swim Club's mission, teaching excellence through swimming for life. To more fully meet that mission, we are constructing a new pool, the Carmel Swim Academy, to increase the scope and reach of our community-based programming, including swim lessons and masters, and improve the learning environment for all of our CSC swimmers. We know this will save lives. We know this will make a difference. And we know it will make a difference in the world. We are proud to be part of this exciting project. To learn more, visit www.carmelswimacademy.org. Now let's get on with the show. Our guest today is the one and only Drew Kibler. Drew is finishing his junior year at the University of Texas, coming off an NCAA team win, a relay win, and some great individual performances. He's the junior Pan Pac record holder in the 200 freestyle, now age group record holder, an all-around fantastic and interesting person who I have had the wonderful pleasure of coaching. But before we begin with Drew, we're going to get to my segment. I don't know if it's right. I just know it works. And today I want to talk about the quote, "The gods favor the bold," by Ovid. And I'm using that quote today because I know it's one of Drew's favorite quotes. Maybe not favorite, but every time Drew saw this quote on practice, he knew he had to get ready. And I think he took it personally, as he told me. So the reason why I like this quote so much is because it frees you from worrying about mistakes, frees you from playing defense, so to speak. And I like the idea that you need to be aggressive in anything that you do. You need to take action. And I think the word bold kind of brings this out of you, that you need to do something about it. And you need to be in a mindset where action needs to take place. It's out of my comfort zone. It's a bold move. But I don't think anything great in this world has been created by playing it safe. No great performance, either on stage, behind the camera, or in the athletic world. I don't think any great business has been created by playing it safe. And for me personally, I know when I knew as a swimmer, I probably played it safe too much. And I think it may have held me back. And I knew when I first started coaching, I think I was always worried about people, quote unquote, dying. Like people always talk to me about dying. But to be bold meant you were out in front, and rarely did you see people who were out in front, fall apart. I think any great swim, that person is winning at the halfway point. They're going for it, and I think you feel better when you go for it. And I've heard Eddie Reese talk about going for it and being out in front. And so now when I talk to my athletes, we need to earn the right to be bold, but you got to give them permission. So I'm very excited to talk about this topic and others. So please welcome Drew Kibler to the show. Drew, welcome. How are you?
I'm great. Thanks so much for having me.
Yeah, very excited to have you on. I know this is a little bit of a break time for you, coming off of NCAAs and getting ready for the Olympic trial. So we can hopefully talk a lot of topics today. Maybe some swimming, some not. But before we start, tell us about your NCAA meet with your team and what was that like for you guys?
Well, I also think that this is a perfect thing to talk about with respect to the quote you just mentioned, "Fortune favors the bold," or "the gods favor the bold." Um, it was an epic battle, honestly, between us and the Cal Berkeley men. They're really talented. They work really hard, and they are fighters. And it was honestly one of the best swimming experiences I've had because it kind of Um, it challenged my comfort zone more than ever, and knowing how close victory was at all times, like as a team, it made us on edge that much more, but in a way that we could really, really enjoy. A few times, like we had team meetings, multiple team meetings every single day, and we talked about how much of a blessing it is to be in this position because this is what we swim for. We don't swim for an easy win. We don't swim for we don't swim for just a domination. We don't swim to maybe try to crack into the top 10. We swim to have all eyes on us, to have everything on the line, and we swim to win. And that's what we've been training for our whole lives. And I think it really took some bold moves to get there. And we were favored in the end. So it was a really great experience.
Yeah. So if you guys are talking in these team meetings about being bold and all eyes on you, you guys felt like you embraced that part of it as a team?
Absolutely. And I think it was a little bit of a journey to get there. For me personally, that journey started in 2019, where we got second in NCAA's, where we did not welcome that pressure. We didn't welcome the challenge, and we had a lot more fear. A kind of concept I've been thinking about a lot lately is the concept of like chasing versus running from. And I think it's a really terrible thing to be looking over your shoulder in fear at the hungry guy that's coming for you. And I think it's a much, much better thing to be looking ahead at all your potential and being excited by your potential instead of being feared, or instead of fearing what you could potentially lose. And so in 2019, we were just kind of scared, I think. We had a big streak and we put a lot more pressure on ourselves. Um, but here it was just a lot more about just having fun and doing the best that we possibly could and chasing that win, and not really fearing anything. And I think like to fear losing is really debilitating. And I think I think fear of losing kind of comes into, or fear of failure really just comes into play a lot with being bold, because you don't want to take it out and die. You don't want to like suffer that feeling of failure. And so if you kind of shed that and you just focus on what you can do, what your potential holds, and what all that lies in front of you, and not focus on what is coming for you behind you, and just keep your eyes focused forward, blinders on, I think you have a lot more potential that way.
Yeah. No, those are great and terrific insight, Drew. And, you know, moving on, just immediate in the near term, we got the Olympic trials. You've been there in 2016. I remember watching you swim the 200 free and being so upset with you at the 100, and then I don't know, you had like one of the fastest last 50s of the entire field. But
Yeah.
thinking about that experience, now you've had this international experience. You've raced some of the best swimmers in the world at the NCAA. As you approach Olympic trials and going through all this, where's your mind now, and what are you focusing on?
Right now, I'm just having fun in practice, because now that the collegiate season is over, we're back training with our pros. We have a group of guys focused on a singular mission, and so there's no divide with like your conference taper group, your American short course taper group, your NCAA's taper group, and your pros. So, because like honestly, for a lot of the season, we have like four groups, especially once we get closer to the end. And now it's just one group focused on a singular mission. I know that when I push off the wall, um, the three or four guys on either side of me are in contention to make the team, or have already made it, and that's what I plan to do as well. And I think it's a really exciting thing, and it makes me want to work all that much harder. And so my mindset going into it is I just want to be as mentally prepared as possible. I've had a pretty dramatic shift, I feel like, in the past 5 or so years, and how I set my goals. And I think the biggest shift has been to, and you'll love this, is to not have as much outcome focused goals as much as process focused goals. And the process focused goals are becoming kind of second nature. Like every single day, I work on where my hand enters the water, how I push off the walls, my positioning of my feet on the wall, strategy. And that's just kind of a part of being I think, just upper level swimmer. It's just, it kind of comes second nature, especially with the great coaches that I have and have had. And I think the final hurdle that I think is going to really give me, not necessarily an advantage, but it's going to allow me to be my best, is challenging the process focused um, challenge of your getting your mental headspace right. I think one of the most powerful things I've heard was Ian Thorpe say that he wanted to work so hard that he knew on his worst day he could be better than anybody else he raced on his best day. And that's a really, really like profoundly intense thing to say. But I was so inspired by that that I just want to. I'm working to build that confidence so that when I stand behind the blocks, I'm not thinking about, oh, I hope this split is this and this time, and that I go this time, and that I take this many strokes. Like that's all for practice. When I am behind the blocks this whole summer, and honestly, all of my training up to this point has been working towards letting me be as confident as I can be in knowing I've done everything right. So yeah, that's pretty much what I'm working on right now, and that's a simple way to say a lot of things, like condensed. But yeah.
Right. Well, I know, a lot of people asked me about you, and I said, well, Drew was one of the people. He was just so in tune and such a student of the sport. And I knew you were taking process goals a while back, and I remember when I think you went like maybe your first time going like 4:15 in the 500. And I said, well, how many strokes did you take? And you were like, well, I took 7 on the first lap, and then I took 9 till the lap 16, and then like you knew every single stroke count of that 500, and you counted every lap in practice. So it seems like you've taken that to another level, working on different things. As I knew with you, you had this great rate, but we needed to lengthen you out, and it seems like that's happening. So, and then you getting your mentals right, as Marshawn Lynch said, right? Getting your mentals right. So now that you go after these guys in training every day, is the environment, like, it sounds like it's good. Are there things that you like? Are you ever down because these guys are beating you? Are you winning every day? Is it back and forth? Like, what's the practice environment like?
I I owe a lot of this to Carmel. I feel like I'm a very good trainer, and for the most part, in sets, I'm like right neck and neck with a lot of the pros. The person who I feel challenged by most consistently and frequently is Carson Foster. He trains out of his mind. I think Mason kind of is a sister. He refers to Mason as a sort of a sister club to Carmel, in the way they've adapted their practices. But yeah, no, it's honestly just it. For example, I'll give an example. We decided last week to do a 200-meter free on Friday, suit up from the block. So we just went to practice after a dry land. Like we were working hard. There was no like lapse in training. It was my first week back of lifting, and so I was pretty destroyed. But I really wanted to beat Carson. I wanted to beat him so bad. Um, and I ended up going a 148.8 in practice, but he went a 147.7. And so it was just, I think there was a time where I would have gotten down about that, but I was able to take in all the details of the race and say, okay, look, I know where he made his move with his legs. I need to be better at kicking. I need to know when I need to do that as well. I know how I'm feeling because of weights. I know that I had a good start, but I'm letting people catch up after the start because I feel uncomfortable ahead. So I'm like, I gained a lot of insight every time I am beat, and then every time I win, it's just a confidence builder. So honestly, it's a win-win situation. And it's not like I'm getting beat by like untalented, not hardworking swimmers. These are like the best of the best. I can't say enough good things about Carson as an athlete and as a person. So like, there's no real, and anybody else I race, Maxime Rooney, for example, like these guys are just such incredible people and trainers and athletes and racers and everything. So it's just a win-win to beat them. I feel honored and confident to beat them, and I also feel like I gain a lot from getting beat by them.
Yeah. Wow, I would have loved to have seen that. I've seen you throw down in practice a few times. So,
Yeah.
let's kind of shift gears here. Your love of the water and the affinity for the water. I mean, you're a water skier. You're jumping off cliffs. maybe some places where it's allowed, maybe not. But where did your affinity and love for the water come from for you? And do you have any first memories of the water?
I'm not really sure where it came from because it goes back before my memory, like from before my memory extends. My mom tells me stories of how when I was like a baby, I don't want to say the age because it might I don't want to get it wrong. It might have been like two, or it was something ridiculous, where she said that she would like throw these little hoops in the pool and I would swim down to the bottom at like a very, very young age where like people around were concerned, but I just loved swimming. I loved going underwater and diving deep.
Right.
And that is, I don't even remember that. So, I mean, I must have been very, very young. So it's kind of always been around, but one of my first memories of swimming, like in a more structured, like actual swim context was, I learned how to swim because I lived on a lake. I learned how to swim from like a learn to swim clinic when I was 5 or 6, and I loved it so much that I would go to my public pool, Forest Park pool, and while everybody else was like playing in the water park or just splashing around in the main pool, I would go and swim long course laps when I was 5 and 6 years old. And people like took notice of that. They're like, "Why is this kid doing this?" And my mom would just tell him, "I don't know. He just loves swimming. Like I'm not making him do this. He just wants to do it." Because I really did. I've since I was very young, I wanted to see how fast I can get across. Like because there was always the pace clock there. And yeah, I don't know if I can pinpoint one experience or something that birthed that love for swimming and love for the water, but I know it's always been around.
Yeah, I have a similar story that was told by my grandmother. My dad used to throw keys to the bottom of the pool, and I think I
Mm.
was like 3 or 4, and I have the same thing. I'm like, "Is that really true?" That I really but, yeah, that's so funny that we share that. So you come to Carmel as a sophomore, right? Do I have that right?
Yep, it was the summer after my freshman year, so it was summer
Yeah,
2015.
and so, um, why the change? And, here's the interesting thing is, like, people said Drew Kibler's coming or gonna try you out. I was like, "I don't know who that is." But, of course, we found out. But, why did you come to Carmel? Like, what was the draw?
Honestly, it was a lot of things, but one thing I remember specifically was I was close with Sammy Burchell,
Mhm.
who everybody that knows Carmel probably knows about Sammy Burchell, and I was very close with her at that time, and I was really frustrated that my previous club was taking like a 3 or 4 week break, and I was just so antsy. I wanted to get better. I wanted to get back in the water. And she was telling me about how Carmel's break wasn't as long, and then I started asking more questions, and I started hearing a little bit more about the culture, and how great it seemed. And then the final straw was when Andrew Kuchon, who has now joined me here at Texas, decided who was on my previous club, decided he wanted to give it a try. And my competitive nature and relationship with Andrew, I knew I wasn't going to let him try something I wasn't. And so the minute I heard that, I went back up to my it was at lunch as a freshman. I went back up to my biology class and I wasn't focused. I was texting my mom, I got to go to Carmel. I got to find Chris Plumb's email. And I've looked recently, I looked back at that email. It was like May 15th or 20th or something, 2015, saying like, "Hey Chris, like I want to, I don't know, try out your club or something like that." And I think it's so interesting looking at this email that honestly changed my life. And that first practice there, I was just blown away by the culture of Carmel, the music, the energy. Tyler Clary was there, which was just like, it was just kind of unusual seeing college coaches coming to recruit swimmers. I was like, this is a totally different realm of elite swimming. These guys take it seriously. They're good. They work hard. They have fun while they're doing it. And yeah, so I think I tried it out on a Saturday afternoon or Saturday morning, and then that Monday I showed up like as part of the club. So
Yeah,
never
little
looked
did you
back.
know I paid Tyler to come to that practice. No, I met Tyler before at, I don't know, some camp or whatever, and he was in town for the Indy 500, so,
Right.
yeah, small world, but
I
that was
remember we did a crazy kick set that day, and I was suffering. I was suffering so bad.
well, I think you took the ball and ran with it there, Drew, because I think our culture today, especially on the boy side, I can really attribute back to you because you were willing we talk about being bold, right? To push those boundaries. And I remember one of my, I was coaching you, and you're like, "Hey, I want to get the junior cut in the 100-meter backstroke." And at that time, I'm like, I've never seen anyone in season like just go, especially a male, like just do it. And like you did. Like I remember I was in Bloomington, and then you didn't even
Yeah.
have the junior cut 100 free. You did it in a time trial, and you would have been top 16.
Yep.
Yep. But so you took it and ran with it, and I think you kind of led the way because you wanted to be good. You were competitive, like you said, and you pushed those boundaries. And then, what for you in Carmel did you say? Where like you said, I'm going to take all these guys, and maybe you didn't say it consciously, but we're all going to be good. Because the thing I love about coaching you is like it wasn't just about you. You brought Andrew Cushon, Stefano, Wyatt Davis, Jake Mitchell. Like you brought all these guys with you, and I imagine you're doing that at Texas. So, can you talk about that?
That's an interesting question. I'm not exactly, let me think, because I'm not exactly sure, and it definitely wasn't a conscious thing. I just knew I care a lot about, like, these aren't just teammates, these are friends. These are friends for life, and I think that it all kind of comes down to the relationship. And um, I mean, we hung out every second outside of the pool too, as friends. It wasn't just a teammate situation. So I think we all wanted to do what the other person was doing. And so, and it wasn't just me. Like I feel like when Wyatt Davis would take off on a backstroke set, I really wanted to beat him and do whatever it took. And I think it all started with maybe I don't want to like toot my own horn here, but maybe it kind of started with me kind of setting a precedent that if someone's ahead of you, you should chase them. And I know like Wyatt and Jake or um, Griffin Hadley and Gus Rothrock had that in like the earlier groups, but I remember being beaten so consistently by Troy Lee and Charles Vaughn that I really just it bothered me and I wanted to do it whatever it took. Like I remember Troy Lee had these really hard push-offs and fast turns, and I implemented that, and that became a big part of my races later. I knew Charles was a really good kicker, and he had a really great attention to detail, so I took that and or borrowed that, I'll say. And so maybe that kind of consistent display of I see someone who knows more than me, who's better than me, but that doesn't mean I should just accept that. I can kind of take that and learn. Maybe that consistent display kind of created a culture in a way so that when Wyatt started noticing things about my stroke, he got closer to me. I didn't like that, so I'd push it more. Jake Mitchell's over here pushing it more, and it just creates a cycle of improvement for everybody. Everybody wants to be better for themselves and for the team. And so maybe that's part of it.
Yeah, no, I think that was great insight. So, and then, I think you helped me be a better coach. And I know, um, you would challenge me. I knew I had to come in every day, like ready to know what I was talking about. You'd be like, coach, I just watched Caleb Dressel start. What do you think about that? So are you still studying not just people in the water, but people outside the water on video and stuff?
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. So I mean, I love just watching people here. I think we have a really great culture at Texas where we can help each other, coach each other. Maxime Rooney is a great example of that. He is so willing to give me advice, help, and so yeah, I mean, it definitely does translate from Carmel to here, where I'm watching and I'm learning. I've been watching tons of even Townley, like there's some parts of Townley's stroke that I haven't adopted because I don't think it'll work for me. But then I noticed the way he puts his hand in the water is in a good placement where sometimes I sweep in too much. And so, yeah, that absolutely hasn't changed. The stroke counting hasn't changed. Um, if anything, I've just found more things to count and track and analyze. So,
Yeah.
yeah,
And let's talk about your coach, Eddie Reese.
Eddie Reese.
Eddie Reese, the famous Eddie Reese. So he just retired, and I know I'm sure part of you is sad, but you're probably happy. I don't know what's that like for you and the rest of the team, knowing that this is Eddie's probably last summer of coaching.
I feel like the initial instinct is to be sad, but then when you step back and think about it, there's really nothing to be sad about.
Yeah.
He has led the greatest coaching career in history, and we worked really hard in a very tumultuous year um, to give him a win on his very last season. And so I have nothing more that I could want from that. He's given me so much as a coach and as a friend, and um, he's just such a spectacular person that and you can just see, you could tell when he was speaking, when he brought us in the locker room to have give us that conversation, like that he was ready, he had made peace with it, and I think that we all couldn't help but make peace with it too. There's just there's nothing left. There's nothing left to be done. Like we got him that win on the way out, and it was a perfect end. But although he did say that he had committed to retiring before the meet came. So he said win, lose or draw, he was going to retire, but thank goodness we won. So
Right.
so yeah, I mean, there's some sort of subtle melancholy to it all, knowing that such a dynasty of his is coming to an end, but that doesn't mean the dynasty of Texas is coming to an end. I think that there's a lot more that this program is going to achieve. I think we're going to actually grow from this. He set in place, like, he's been building a culture over the past 40 years that's only going to continue to grow with more wisdom and insight from great athletes and great coaches in the future. So I'm really looking forward to it, honestly. He was ready, and I think the program's ready too. So, yeah.
Yeah. So, having swum for him for 3 years, what do you think makes him such a great coach in person?
He just really cares about you as an individual, as a person. Uh, and I think that that is what makes us want to be so good. I was having a conversation with someone the other day about the most important part of a relationship. And I don't think a relationship, whether it be um, platonic or intimate or anything, or professional, I think every relationship shouldn't be about like fixing or controlling. It should be about placing intrinsic value in you so that you want to make yourself better. It's not my job to make you better. It's my job to make you want to be better for yourself. And I think that Ed has mastered that. He makes us all feel so valued. I feel so valued by him that just knowing he's there, I want to do everything right. And I can honestly say the same thing about you. Like that was something that um, was a big part of the Carmel program, is just knowing how much you cared about us, and still do, of course. I'm saying cared when I was there. It just made us all want to be better. And of course, you wanted to make us better, but that value placed in us as people and athletes, and the value that Eddie places in us, just makes us want to be the very best we can be for ourselves. And as a result, because we're trying to be the best we can be for ourselves, the rest speaks for itself. The team has such an incredible winning history because of it, uh, and we all get better here because of it, and it's pretty special place to be. So
Yeah. Well, and I know you like to make memories of your own, so to speak, and you're an artist, I would say, and you do videos. Some are funny, some are, you know, um, I don't know, not say sad, but like more like here's how it is, but here's what we did, and so
hmm
are you still doing videos now, or like where is that? Is that on pause? And when they do happen, what inspires you to do them?
I think it's always a different source of inspiration every time. So when you say is that on pause, you might be referring to some vlogs that I was doing earlier in this year,
Yeah,
or just honestly some videos that I've made over the course of the past almost 6 years now, or maybe 5 years. I used to make them when Carmel took trips to the Olympic Training Center.
yeah,
It's whenever I'm just doing something fun. I just enjoy the process of making videos. Like sometimes I find myself recording things and never doing anything with it. I just like doing that. I like taking
right.
pictures and sometimes never doing stuff with it. Um, Earlier this season, I started a vlog with my friends here at UT, and it was extremely fun. But what we realized is that we do that stuff anyway, and that it almost took away from the organic nature of it to have the camera there. Like we have continued doing stuff every week just as wild and goofy and fun and adventurous, but it's almost better just to be in the moment and savor those memories as a memory, not savor those memories as a video necessarily. And so I've had actually a lot of people ask me like when are the vlogs coming back, which is kind of funny. I didn't think anybody, I didn't think anybody really cared, but I mean, that's not to say I'm never going to make a video again, but it'll just be I don't want it to be forced. I don't want it to be like I have to stick to a schedule. So all the videos I've ever made in the past have been because it was what I wanted to do in that moment, not because it was Monday and I had to get something out. So,
Right. Right.
but it is a really fun process, and it's led me to some. Uh, Actually, what I will say is I've never done something for a video. I've only done a video for my adventure, you know. So,
Right.
um,
Good way to put it.
and- and- thank you. And as soon as the need to make a video comes before the need to have an adventure and make a memory, that's when it's no good. So, yeah.
I love it. Um, all right. Well, let's wrap this up with some fun questions.
All right, sounds good.
Call this the sprint finish. So, um, if you could have or do a social kick with anybody at any time, who would you do it with and why?
Well, does it have to be a summer? Actually, I'm just gonna do summer.
It
It'll
could be
be
anybody you want.
the first person that came to my mind actually was Will Lacone because I always do social kicks with him. I'm lucky enough to actually have that. I don't need anything else. He's the nicest guy. He's always got something to talk about. He is the people used to call him the mayor of Austin because he just knows everybody. He's so social and just such a nice guy. So he's my favorite person to do social kick with.
Okay. What song would you least like to pop up during practice?
Oh man, that's tough. I don't know. I think I've heard a little bit of everything. And I just find a way to roll with it. I'm honestly not a huge fan of just like modern. This is kind of counterintuitive because this is a thing that gets people going, but modern rap, just I'm just not super into it.
Okay.
And that's probably like one of those songs. I don't even know what they're called. I don't even listen to
Right.
it, but
Right.
yeah, one of those.
Okay. Would you rather swim the deep end or shallow end?
Deep, no doubt. I always went to
Right.
deep into Carmel.
Yeah. Right. Exactly. Um, what would be your perfect I am order
Um,
besides getting
butterfly.
rid of breaststroke?
I was gonna say butterfly, backstroke, freestyle, freestyle. I would say I would do. Uh, um, I would keep butterfly first because it's the hardest. Then I would do brushstroke, get it out of the way, and then I would do backstroke because that's a pretty tough stroke too, and I wouldn't want to put it last. And then I would sprint home to freestyle. So yeah, I would just switch backstroke and butterfly,
Okay.
or sorry, backstroke and breaststroke.
All right. Kickboard or no kickboard?
Kickboard. I need to get better at my flutter kick. So I just like for freestyle, I've been driving hard with the kickboard lately.
All right. Kick or pull?
Kick. I don't. I feel like I have a good pull, and whenever I put paddles on, like I fall behind. I fall behind quick.
Okay. Would you rather be in a pool that is too cold or too warm?
Way rather be in a pool that's too cold. I'm a naturally hot person. I always get hot, and so if I'm overheating in a workout, it just makes it miserable. I would much rather be in a cold pool.
Are you going first, lane leader, or caboose?
Lane leader.
I knew. Yep. Yep. I was going to say that. How many strokes are you allowed in a 25 in a kick set?
Uh, I would I would say one stroke over is what I would do.
Yeah.
Yeah, so like you pull the kickboard down, one stroke over, then flip.
All right. None
Is
of those.
is that the right
Yeah.
answer?
Well, we're just trying to like, stop the four holes
Okay,
into the wall. Those bad kickers, right? All right. Taking you back to your Carmel days, would you rather have to do drag socks or pulleys?
Oh, pulleys. I love pulleys.
Yeah. Right. And most importantly, what's your favorite Gatorade color?
Fierce strawberry. It's pink. It's kind of a niche flavor, but it's definitely my favorite.
All right. Drew, is there anything you'd like to add or say to the audience out there before we close up? Anything you're working on or want to tell the world?
Something I'm definitely working on that I think I could have enjoyed hearing about. when I was 8, when I was 16, and even when I was 20 is reminding myself how much I really do love the sport. I got into it for a reason, and it's because I love it, and I love trying to make myself better. And I think that kind of accomplishes the number one goal, or the number one um, uh, the number one reason for success is just if you enjoy yourself while you're doing it. And I think that if you remind yourself that you love it, you remind yourself why you got into it, and you allow yourself to enjoy the process, enjoy seeing what you can do, then I think your ceiling is endless in that way. And so I have a lot of work to go, but I think the earlier you start learning to allow yourself to enjoy what you do, the better. And so, yeah, that is absolutely what I would like to add.
Awesome, Drew. Well, we thank you for your time today. Appreciate you. We wish you the best of luck. I know I'll
Thank you very much.
see you in Omaha, buddy.
Absolutely. Thanks, Chris.